Hello students, we'll start with unit number 4, that is transducers. Transducers are nothing but sensors, and in general term we define transducers as device which converts non-electrical quantity into electrical quantity. Let us first go through the exact definition of a transducer. Transducer is a device that is used to convert a physical quantity into its corresponding electrical signal. In most of the electrical system, the input signal will not be electrical signal. As I said, it will be used for converting non-electrical quantity into electrical quantity. So the input signal will not be an electrical signal but a non-electrical signal. This will have to be converted into its corresponding electrical signal if its value is to be measured using electrical method. Basically, a transducer will have two main components, and they are sensing element and transduction element as shown in the figure. A sensing element is the element which converts the physical quantity or its rate of change is sensed and responded to by this part. Okay, and the transconduction element, the sensing element will give input to the transconduction element. The output of the sensing element is passed on to the transconduction element. This element is responsible for converting the non-electrical signal into its proportional electrical signal. There may be cases when the transduction element performs the action of both transduction and sensing element. The best example of such a transducer is a thermocouple. A thermocouple is used to generate voltage corresponding to the heat that is generated at the junction of the two dissimilar metal. See, thermocouple is an example where the junction of the two dissimilar metal is subjected to heat. So when heat is produced, a voltage will be produced across its two terminal. That means a heat energy is converted into corresponding voltage, right? So what we have done is we have converted a non-electrical quantity such as heat into electrical quantity. So that is the basic idea which we will take further to understand transducer. Next we will try to understand different types of transducer. Transducers are basically classified into two types, active transducer and passive transducer. When I say active transducer, these type of transducers produce their own energy. As I said, transducer will be converting non-electrical quantity into electrical quantity. So the electrical energy which is produced at the output, if the transducer generates by its own, then it will be called as active transducer. So let us go through the proper definition of active transducer. Active transducer are those which do not require any power source for their operation. They work on the energy conversion principle. They produce an electrical signal proportional to the input, that is physical quantity. Whatever you may be measuring temperature, pressure, sound, light, all these are non-electrical quantity which has to be converted into electrical quantity. And as I said, a very good example of an active transducer is thermocouple. What it does, it converts heat energy into a corresponding voltage, and that energy or the voltage which is producing by the transducer itself, right? So that type of transducer will be called as active transducer. There is one more type of transducer where the transducer could not produce their own energy. They will be part of some electrical circuit. So when a non-electrical quantity changes, the parameter of the transducer changes. Therefore, the electrical parameter of the circuit of which they are part will change, and that is how a corresponding voltage, current, frequency or a particular oscillation will be produced. So they don't have their own energy, right? For example, resistance, capacitor and inductor these are few examples of passive transducers. let us go through the proper definition of a passive transducer. Transducer which requires an external power source for their operation is called as passive transducer. They produce an output signal in the form of some variation, that is, of course, as I said, parameter of the transducer will change. So if resistance is connected as a transducer, resistance will change, capacitance will change, inductance will change, and this change in resistance, capacitance, inductance will change the electrical parameter of the circuit of which they are part of. Okay, that means resistance, capacitor, inductor will be connected in a circuit. As resistance changes, the electrical parameter of the circuit will change, and the electrical parameter of that circuit will be nothing but change in current or change in voltage or change in frequency, which will be corresponding to the change in the non-electrical quantity. So that is the basic idea behind passive transducer. Okay, so a very good example of a passive transducer is photocell, or we call it as LDR. LDR is nothing but light dependent resistance. Here what we are trying to do is we are trying to convert light into a electrical quantity, right? So LDR, light dependent resistance. In dark the resistance is very high, and when the light falls on that particular resistance on LDR, the resistance decreases. That means what is changing? Resistivity of LDR is changing with respect to light, right? And this LDR will be part of some electrical circuit. So what will happen if the resistance of LDR will change? The electrical parameter of the circuit will change, either current or voltage or frequency, and that change, current, voltage or frequency, will be proportional to the intensity of light. So we have converted light into electrical quantity. But this type of transducer will require external power. They will be part of some electrical circuit. They will be requiring external powers. Therefore, they are called as passive transducer. Next, we have to understand the important characteristics when we try to select a transducer. Of course, when you select a transducer, we make sure that the transducer should have small size and weight. It should be, of course, as it is a sensor, it should be very sensitive, and most importantly, reliability. See, I'll give you one example. Suppose if you are designing a weighing machine. So weighing machine, what it does is, what is non-electrical quantity which is being measured is the force, right? Force is converted into electrical quantity in a weighing machine. So if you have designed a source or design a weighing machine to weigh around 100 kgs, and if it breaks down at around 50 kgs, is that reliable? No. So you make sure that when a transducer is selected, it has to be reliable over a particular range for which you are designing a particular instrument. And the most important part is low cost. Then there should be linear relationship between input and output. That means whatever be the change in the input, same should be produced at the corresponding output. And next is good response to transient change. If there is fast change in the input, corresponding fast change in the output should be produced. And again, important characteristics, the last one, it should have very good response to environmental change, or we say ambient change. That means if you design an instrument with a transducer, it should work in all weather or climatic condition, or wherever it has been kept, that ambient, whatever be the ambient temperature, it should give proper response. So these are very important characteristics of transducer. Next is, of course, when you design instrument, you select a transducer. So there are few parameters which are related to transducers. The first one, when we say selection of a transducer, is one of the most important factor which helps in obtaining accurate result. Some of the main parameters which are which has to be understood are given below. The first one is physical quantity to be measured. This is determined by the type and range of the measurand. Let me explain you what exactly we mean by physical quantity to be measured. See, there are two things. If I give you an example, suppose you are measuring earthquake, and of course the instrument used for measuring earthquake is seismograph, and at the same time you are measuring heartbeat. See, both these instruments are designed to measure the vibration. Of course, heartbeat will produce vibration. Of course, earthquake also will produce vibration. So both the devices are used for measurement of vibration. But will they use the same sensor? Of course not. They will not going to use the same sensor, because for earthquake the range and the parameter will be different. For heartbeat the range and the parameter will be different. So though we are measuring the same physical quantity, but it depends upon the range of the measurand. So that is what is physical quantity to be measured. So that is the first one. The second one is transducer's principle for the given physical input. That means when we measure a non-electrical quantity, the output of the sensing element should be compatible with the recording system. That is what it says. This requires that the input and output characteristics of the transducer be compatible with the recording system. That means the signal will be converted into electrical quantity. The electrical quantity has to be processed and then it has to be given to the output. So the signals which are be converted into electrical quantity should be compatible with the processing device. That is what is mentioned by transducer's principle for the given physical input. And the last one in this case is accuracy required. Of course, this determines the degree to which individual factor contributing to accuracy must be considered. So basically, ambient temperature, environmental condition, aging effect, all this comes under accuracy required. So you make sure that when you design a particular instrument with a transducer, all these parameters has to be taken care of. So this is all about selection of transducer. Next is method of reducing error in a transducer. So there are three methods. The first one is using in place system calibration. The first one is using in place system calibration. The entire system is calibrated for individual errors. Then calibrated data may be used to correct the recorded data. See, I'll give you an example to make you understand this thing. In industries, there are number of machineries where you use a pressing mechanism. Okay, a hydraulic presser will be used, and to design any kind of mold. Molds are designed by pressing it. Okay, so proper pressure has to be applied. Now the proper pressure or the pressure has to be adjusted. Okay, now initially when the instrument is new, there is no problem. Okay, whatever pressure you are setting at the input, that same pressure will be applied to the mold, and that mold will be proper. But with respect to time or aging effect, what happens is the pressure which you are going to set at the input may not be exactly the pressure applied by the hydraulic press. At that point you have to calibrate. That means you have your known data, and then you compare the known data with the data which you are going to record with that hydraulic press, and if they does not match, you have to calibrate. That means you have to set that value to normal condition where no error occurs. So that is using in place system calibration. Next is simultaneously monitoring the environmental condition and correcting the data accordingly. A very good example of this is suppose in our home we have an air conditioner, AC. Now what you can do is, for AC you can set up a temperature, say 17 degree we have set up a temperature. So the function of the air conditioner is to keep the room temperature at 17 degree. Now if only one person was there, of course that 17 degree was maintained, but at the same time if in the room several person comes, the room temperature increases. So there is a transducer in the air conditioner called as thermostat. This thermostat, what it does is continuously monitor the room temperature, and if it is 17 if the room temperature is at 17 degree, there will be no signal generated by the thermostat. But as I said, if several persons comes into the same room, now the room temperature will increase. As soon as it crosses 17 degree, what it does is it starts the compressor. Compressor will bring down the temperature back to 17. So this is what is simultaneously monitoring the environment and corresponding the data accordingly. And the last one in that is artificially controlling the environmental condition. See, I will give you a very good example of this. Suppose there is a machine called as ECG, electrocardiograph, used for measurement of heart or used for monitoring heartbeat of a patient. Now if that ECG is being carried out for a patient, and that ECG machine is kept near a window AC, window air conditioner. The window air conditioner has a compressor and it has a high magnetic field around it, and sometimes this magnetic field induces voltage into the ECG machine. So what can happen is unnecessary spikes you can see on the ECG, not because of the patient, it will be because of the air conditioner which is present in the nearby environment. So what you should do is, either you should switch off the AC, or if you can't do that, take the patient, take the monitoring system, take it to the separate place where you don't have this type of errors. So artificially controlling the environment results in the environmental errors are reduced to zero by physically moving the transducer to a more favorable position or providing required shielding. So that is what I have mentioned. So this is all about method of reducing error in a transducer. Next, to understand types of transducer and their principle of operation. As we have already mentioned, there are two types: active transducer and passive transducer. So let us try to understand let us try to take few examples of active and passive transducers and understand what the principle on which this transducer works. So the first one is active transducer. The first one in that is thermopile, or we call as thermocouple transducer. As I said, it will be a junction of two dissimilar metal. Okay, two dissimilar metal, and heat is subjected on the junction, and when heat is subjected on the junction, current starts flowing through the metals, and a potential difference is formed across the two terminals of the thermocouple. So what we are doing is we are converting heat energy into electrical energy. So it will be used for measurement of heat. The next one is piezoelectric effect. You must have heard about piezoelectric crystal. In your wall clock, you can see most of the times it is mentioned as quartz crystal, QUARTZ, quartz crystal. Quartz crystal are used, or they show piezoelectric effect. These are hexagonal shaped crystal, and when you apply force on on the crystal, they will produce electrical charge on one face. Okay, there are three axes for piezoelectric crystals called as electrical axis. X axis is called as electrical axis, Z-axis is called as optical axis and Y-axis is called as mechanical axis. So when you apply pressure or force on mechanical axis, electrical signals will be, or electrical charge will be produced on the X-axis. That means they will produce their electricity or the charge or the output by their own. Therefore they are classified as active transducer. So when an external force is applied onto a quartz crystal, there will be change in the voltage generated across the surface. As I said, if you apply pressure or force on one axis, electrical charge will be produced on another axis, which will produce a voltage difference, a potential difference. This change is measured by its corresponding value of sound or vibration. Both can be measured. Force, sound, vibration, all can be measured using piezoelectric crystal. Next is photovoltaic cell. The voltage change that occurs across a PN junction due to the light radiation is known as its corresponding solar cell value or light intensity. So of course this you already know, photovoltaic cell, solar panels, they convert light energy into electrical energy. They produce their energy by their own, therefore they are classified as active transducer. So the next one is transducer. Passive transducer, of course there will be number of examples. As I said, resistance, capacitance and inductor will be used as a passive transducer. So in passive transducer, the first one is resistance variation type. In that first one is resistance strain gauge. So the resistivity of the material can be changed by elongation or compression of that material. If you remember, the formula for resistor is R is equal to rho L by A. Rho is resistivity of the material, L is the length and A is the area of cross section. So when you pull the resistor, L will change, therefore R will change. And if you compress the that particular string, what will happen is A will change, area of cross section, and therefore R will change. So by external force we can change L and A, and therefore corresponding R value will change. And if R changes, the electrical parameter of which they are part of will change, and that is how electrical non-electrical quantity will be converted into electrical quantity. Next one is hot wire meter. These are used in industrial purpose. Okay, a hot metal is placed in a tube where gas is flowing. Every gas has its own thermal conductivity, and on that basis it will cool down. The metal. Basically tungsten will be used, that metal cool down the metal. Now what happens is, whenever a heated tungsten wire is placed on a tube, of course the heated tungsten wire will have its own resistivity, and when gas flow through it, what happens is, as depending upon the thermal conductivity of gas, this gas will cool down the temperature. So the resistivity of the tungsten wire will change, and it will change depending upon the amount of gas which is flowing. So basically it is used for gas flow measurement. So the change in the resistance of a heating element due to convection cooling of a flow of gas is known by its corresponding gas flow or pressure. And the last one in that is thermistor. Thermistors are metal oxides with NTC. NTC means negative temperature coefficient of resistance. That means when the temperature increases, the resistance decreases. That phenomena is used to sense temperature. So what will happen is, as the temperature increases, the resistance of thermistor decreases, and the variation in the value of resistance will change the electrical parameter of the circuit of which they are part of. That means electrical parameter will change, and the electrical parameter, that may be current, voltage or frequency, will be directly proportional to the change in the temperature. So temperature is converted into electrical quantity. So this is all about passive transducer. Next is capacitive. variation type. That means we will use capacitor. Now the formula for capacitor, this we have already understood in unit number 1. Capacitor is epsilon 0 K A by D. Epsilon 0 is permittivity of free space, K is dielectric constant, A is area of cross section of the plate, and D is the distance between the two plates. Generally that means what we can understood by the formula of capacitance is C is indirectly, that is capacitance is inversely proportional to the distance between the two plates, and that by changing the distance between the two plates, what we can do is D is change, and when D is change, C is change, and that phenomena is used in capacitive type variation. The first one is variable capacitance pressure gauge. That means what we do is, out of the two plates of the capacitor, one plate is fixed, and to another plate what we do is we apply pressure. When pressure is applied to the variable plate, what will happen is the distance between the fixed plate and the movable plate will change. That means D will change, and if D changes, C will change, and when C changes, what happens is it will change the electrical parameter of the circuit of which they are part of. So that electrical parameter, which can be current, voltage and frequency, will be proportional to the pressure being applied. So pressure is converted into electrical quantity. And there is one more example of capacitance variation type, that is capacitor microphone. In general term we call it as mic. What mic does? Mic converts sound energy into electrical energy. That is what we do. So there is one fixed plate of the capacitor and very thin diaphragm is used. So when sound energy is we generate, the diaphragm will be actuated by the sound energy, and it will change its position with respect to the fixed plate. That means D will change, and therefore C will change, and of course that C will be part of some electrical circuit of which the electrical parameter will change. So electrical parameter whatever will be generated will be equivalent to sound energy. It will be corresponding to the sound energy. So sound energy can be converted into electrical quantity. And the last one in the types of passive transducer is inductance variation. And the example of inductance variation type is a differential transformer, linear variable differential transformer. The change in differential voltage of two secondary windings of a transformer because of the change in the position of the magnetic core is known by its corresponding force, pressure or displacement. Of course, in this session itself, I will take the example of inductance variation type, which is nothing but LVDT, linear variable differential transformer. So you will understand in much better way. I'll just give you an example. Now you have a transformer where you have one primary winding and two secondary winding. The two secondary windings have equal number of turns, but they are connected in phase opposition. So see, I told you about mutual inductance in an inductor. What happens when current is flowing through an inductor? Magnetic field is produced, and if in this same magnetic field you keep another coil, this magnetic field will induce current into the coil. So now what is there? There is one primary coil through which current will flow. Of course, magnetic field will be produced, and in that field you are keeping two secondary windings, two small secondary windings. So what happens is, of course, voltage will be induced into both the secondaries. Now the two secondaries are connected in phase opposition. So if same amount of voltage is induced on both the secondaries, what happens? They will be phase opposite. They will be cancelling each other, and if they cancel each other, the output voltage will be zero, right? So the voltage will change according to the voltage induced in the secondary. So that phenomena is used in LVDT, linear variable differential transducer. Okay, so this is all about the basics of transducer. Let us now try to understand working of one by one. In that, first we will try to understand thermistor. So thermistor is defined as a type of resistors whose electrical resistance varies with change in the temperature. They are ideal when precise temperature reading is required. As I told you, thermistors are metal oxides. They have high NTC of R, that means negative temperature coefficient of R. When the temperature increases, resistance decreases, and that phenomena is used to measure temperature or to convert temperature into electrical quantity. This is the symbolic representation of thermistor. Okay. So thermistors are semiconductors with high NTC of resistance. That is, when the temperature increases, resistance decreases. In some cases, the resistance of the thermistor may decrease up to 6% or for 1 degree rise in temperature. That means you can see the sensitivity is very high for thermistors. Thermistors are used in the temperature range of -100 degrees Celsius to 300 degrees Celsius, and the resistance changes from 0.5 ohms to 75 meg ohm hona chahiye. There is a mistake, 75 meg ohm. So there is a large variation in the value of resistance. And thermistors are made up of sintered mixtures of metal oxides such as cobalt, nickel, manganese, etc. And you on the right hand side, what you can see is, of course, they are available in the bead shape, rod shape, or disc shape. And on the right hand side, in the image, what you can see is, if you draw a graph between temperature and resistance, as the temperature increases, the resistance decreases. So that is what is the basic idea behind thermistor, measuring temperature or converting temperature into its equivalent electrical quantity. Let us try to understand the working of LVDT, linear variable differential transformer. As shown in the figure, what you can see is there is one primary winding and two secondary windings of equal number of turns but connected in phase opposition. So the output voltage, this is the secondary winding, these two are secondary windings, and this one is the primary winding, and this is the output voltage, which will be voltage drop across one secondary minus voltage drop across the second secondary. When current is flowing through the primary winding, what happens is a magnetic field will be produced, which will induce voltage in secondary 1 and secondary 2. As they are equal in number, equal voltage will be produced. Okay, so if the core is at center, equal potential will be produced across both the secondary. As they are connected in phase opposite, they will cancel and the output voltage will be 0. So this is what is the phenomena we will be trying to understand. So the transformer consists of a primary winding P and two secondary windings S1 and S2 when wound on a cylindrical former, which is a hollow in nature and contains the core. Both the secondary windings have equal number of turns and we place them on either side of the primary winding. A movable soft iron core, this is the core, soft iron core is placed inside the former and displacement to be measured is connected to the iron core. Both the secondary windings are connected in such a way that the result output is the difference between the voltage of the two windings. That is what we have mentioned, the output voltage here. Okay, let us try to understand for three different conditions the of LVDT. So in this three diagram, what you can see is the core position. This at the first one, the core position is at the center. In the second one, it is moved upward. In the third one, it has moved downward. Okay, so case when the core is at the null position or no displacement, no external force has been applied to the core. So core is exactly at the center. So what will happen? This primary will induce voltage in the two secondaries equal, and as they are in phase opposite, the output voltage will be 0. Okay, so when the core is at null position, then the flux linking both the secondary winding is equal. So the induced EMF is equal in both the windings. So for no displacement, the value of the output is 0. Okay, next, Case 2, when the core is moved to upward of null position, that means this is the diagram. In this in this case, the flux linking with the secondary, upper secondary will be more as compared to lower secondary. That means voltage across E1 will be more as compared to E2. So difference will be positive, right? So the flux linking with the secondary winding S1 is more as compared to the flux linking to S2. Due to this, E1 will be more as that of E2. Due to this, the output voltage Vout is positive. Similarly, last condition, if the core position is moved downward depending upon the pressure or force which has been applied. Now in this case, more voltage will be induced in S2 as compared to S1. So E1 will be less as compared to E2 and the difference will be negative. Okay. So when the core is moved to downward of null position for displacement to the downward of the reference point, in this case magnitude of E2 will be more as that of E1. Due to this, output Vout will be negative. So depending upon the output voltage, we can clearly understand the position of the core, which is subjected to change by external pressure or force. So force or pressure can be converted into electrical quantity. So this is all about today's video of transducer. There are more number of transducers which we have to study. We will see that in the next video. Thank you so much. I hope you have understood.